Wait, one time, ensure recorder. I should be recording now. Okay, hello, welcome back to Fireplace Talks and Stories and another book reading episode. So, in today's episode, we're going to be reading Vikings with a exclamation mark after Vikings. It's all one, word, just Vikings. Okay, this is by Gunnar Andersson, or Andersson. National Museum, Scotland. So we're going to be reading this book, and we'll see how much, we can get through this today. Alright, so Vikings, highlights of the exhibition, Gunnar Andersson, National Museum, Scotland, the Swedish History Museum, museum's partner. So, just a bunch of stuff. I'll go past the contents, as I just want to read it, one piece at a time. So, here we have it. Forward, Maria Jansson, Director General, Swedish History Museum, Stockholm. The era of the Vikings is a mythical period in Scandinavian history, and the Vikings have become somewhat like international celebrities. In fact, apart from perhaps ABBA, IKEA, and Minecraft, they might even be considered one of our most well-known trademarks. With the exhibitions Vikings, the Untold Story, we aim to make this unique collection of artifacts accessible to an international audience, and to be shared, and to share the opportunity, there we go, to get up close to some of the most wonderful cultural treasures from the time. The different themes in the exhibitions allow the visitors to have a deep dive into the Viking world, a world which has changed in recent years due to new research in the field, previous conceptions and stereotypes, and are now being questioned, and Vikings have shown themselves to be more versatile and fascinating than we have thus far understood. Vikings' Untold Story contains more than 500 original Viking artifacts from the Swedish History Museum's collection, including many that have rarely or never been exhibited outside Sweden, such as, for example, the silver crucifix that is said to be the oldest known crucifix in Sweden. The objects are highly revealing, informing us about life on the farm, the world of aristocrats and slaves, strong women, the importance of crafts, and as well as travel and trade, and the transition between different religions. We welcome you to meet the Vikings. Now, this is a book that shows many interesting things. Sadly, I do not have a hand cam to show you this stuff, but I can describe it to you. So the first page is this big, you would say it's like a gravestone kind of type, but it's kind of shaped like a what do you call those things that you play in wait one second. They are similar to baton. Is it baton? Baton? Sport. I do apologize. No, it's not baton. Okay, it's a very hard thing to describe, I tell you. It's like, like a salt shaker, you know how they have the little big caps on top of a thin body? It's like that, but it goes out like a cone. It's like an upside down cone with a little cap on top. That's the best I can describe it. I do apologise. But it shows, if I can put it in the light, it shows some fighting between people, horses, and I think maybe gods watching in the sky, or maybe even more people having combat. It's very hard to see. And then people running away, and also the other person running away on a horse. And everyone running together, one direction. It looks like they're all fighting together. And then what looks like to be a lot of diamond shape, you know. It's like those mats that are diamond shaped, in that you can walk on. It's like those, like a rug. And then a ginormous ship beneath it, a Viking ship beneath it with let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then, times that by 2, I tell you. Because obviously you have two sides on the ship. Okay, introduction. We can call them Vikings. What do we really know about the people that we today call Vikings? From a modern perspective, the Viking Age is looked upon as a mythical period, not only within Scandinavia but also abroad. It is a time associated with the violent raids, peaceful trading, peaceful, with, quotation marks, like, not really peaceful trading. I tell you, Vikings also were good teachers of how to cook different types of food. That's how a lot of the people in the Orkneys learned how to cook, with like, a lot of, bronze or metal bowls. And also how to trade. That's why the Orkneys were, they were quite, Norse. They're like the Norse Scottish. That's why we'll say. They're Scottish, but they're kind of Norse Scottish. Because, there's still a lot of, Scandinavian people there. And their descendants. Alright. Peaceful trading, brave seamanship, and colonization outside Scandinavia. And all of this conducted mostly by men. However, our knowledge of the Viking Age has changed. Now, so I will say, they would have spread their colonization all the way to America. Quite weird. They weren't the first to get to America, sadly, as when the Earth, every like 5 to 10 years, the Earth shifts over. It goes, one way, it goes on like, its angle, and then it goes on another angle. Basically, imagine like a metronome. It sits on one side for 10 years and it swaps over. And that's caused the ice caps at America to melt, allowing people to come there. But there had already been Polynesian settlers in Central and, Northern South America, starting there. Very interesting, very interesting. The migration of the people, is quite interesting. I would recommend checking out. Okay, but back to Vikings. Has changed as a recent archaeological discoveries. These are further assisted by related disciples, disciplines in the social sciences, such as history and linguistics. I cannot say that word, I tell you. Okay. Opposite picture stone, so the stone that I just talked about, found exclusively on Gotland. Picture stones show mythological scenes. Here, a warrior's journey to Valhalla is illustrated. See page 40, date 8th, 9th century AD. The stone comes from Tangla Garda, Labro, Gotland. Not Scotland, Gotland. Different place, it's in Sweden. A period unclear borders. Although Scandinavia archaeologists invented the term Viking Age during the 19th century, the dating of the beginning and end of the period is more recent invention. From a historical perspective, the Viking Age began in AD 797 93, I meant. With the attack by Norröner, Norsemen, on the monastery at Lindisfarne in northeast England, or northeast of England, and ended at the Battle of Stamford Bridge, Yorkshire, England, in 1066. From a Scandinavian point of view, it might appear odd that the Viking Age is historically defined by events that took place in the British Isle. Well, a lot, influence from both, sectors. Okay. It shows a map, and I'll skip a little bit ahead, I tell you, for this. Alright, so this map shows 8th century, 9th century, 10th century, 11th century, and frequent Viking raids, but little or no Scandinavian settlements. So, we have... Okay, I'll start with red. So red is basically, all of Sweden, all of, Norway, and Denmark. And also northern... I think it's Königsberg? Germany. It's now Poland, I'm pretty sure. Königsberg. I think it's Königsberg. I was never good at saying the name. I know it in my head, but I can't say it out properly. For orange, that would be all of the well, not really all of the Baltics, but little spots on the Baltic, and then it goes and wraps around. St. Petersburg kind of area, that would be red for 8th century, and then orange, in the middle area where Belarus and Russia would be today, and then some bits of Poland. That would be Danzig, maybe, or near Danzig. For yellow, we have southern Italy. Quite strange, as the Normans would invade there later. Yes, the Normans invaded, southern Italy. They took over, made some very nice stuff. Just southern Italy, in modern times, has kind of just been a trash pit of Italy. Not very good, I tell you. Very sad. There's some yellowness on what would be Newfoundland and other bits. I also missed the orange bit in Greenland and Iceland. There's also a red bit on the most furthest coast of Iceland. There's a red bit in northern Scotland. That would be the Orkneys. I remember when I played Crusader Knights 2. I tried to get them out of there, and I just started this terrible war with them. And then eventually, somehow the war ended. I'm not sure. I'm not very sure on how that war ended, but it ended. And then I gave what would actually be one of my ancestors, Jesus' singy skin, the last piece of him on Earth, to build relations. And then eventually I would die after that, but I know it's super stupid. It's a good chuckle. Alright. But anything that's green is basically Gibraltar, North Africa, not really, in the Mediterranean, but just anything that's, southern of France, they were at. The two islands in the Mediterranean that are ginormous. That's not, including, Crete, because, I'm talking about Western Mediterranean. Northern Spain, France, though there's some orange there in the 10th century. Germany, a deep thrust into what would be the Ruhr today. Some green on the furthest, bit of England and what would be Wales today. Ireland, though there are some red settlements there, so that means there are some settlements there. And basically, all that would be now for any of you who are new. Let me just put down the book for a sec. Britain, or the UK, whatever you want to call it, is made up of multiple let's see. So it's made up of multiple countries. We got England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland is also one of them. And it would also, it says, is the UK one country or four? Well, technically it's four countries, but not really at the same time. It's four countries by, 1922, but, it's still kind of just one kingdom, because, it's kind of just under the thumb of one. But, let me see. I'm trying to find a good map. Viking Britain. It would be what would be called East Anglia. East Anglia, and I guess it would kind of count Essex as being a part of, Anglia at the same time. That is what I would call as, the fifth country of thingy. But really, it's just been absorbed into England, and anyone that thinks differently, does not talk about it. But that is quite true. England, the UK, Britain is made up of 5 countries actually. Just Anglia is kind of just under the thumb of English, due to being absorbed into them. Let's see. You know what, we got quite a few pages to go and we're already at 17 minutes. So I'll probably breeze through this book so I don't bore you too much. But let's see. Today is understood that the period of the Viking Age can be defined into different ways dependent upon what is being studied and how the evidence is approached. It is known that Scandinavian travellers were taking goods and knowledge of foreign lands home with them long before the events that took place at Lahnda. Archaeological evidence further suggests that Vikings' journeys were following already established shipping lanes. There may also have been instances of looting and violence at that time, although there are no historical sources to support this. Who or what was a Viking? The word Viking appears on runestones and in written Old Norse sources. It has a number of definitions, but is mostly used to describe situations or activity men, women, youths, or children could all have gone out on a Viking, meaning a commercial trip or a raid. In other words, people did not refer to themselves as a Viking unless they were on a Viking. So what did they call themselves? This is not really known, but individuals possibly used their farm or village names in the same way that someone living in London is called a Londoner, and so on. In written sources, the term Norröner, Norsemen, was used as a designation for all Nordic peoples, except the Sami in the northernmost parts of Scandinavia. Expanding across Europe between 750 AD and 1100 AD, many people left Scandinavia on trading or raiding expeditions, or to settle in new parts of Eastern and Western Europe. In the 8th century, Scandinavians, known as the Russ, moved into what is now northwestern Russia, which they called Gardariki, Garnarskariki, Garnatariki. Hard word, I can't tell you. I can tell you, it's a hard word. I just can't do the tongue twister for it. Gardner, Gardar, Gardnerica, Gardnerica. This was the beginning of the furthest travels eastwards to countries beyond the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, to the Byzantium, and to what is now the Middle East. Towards the end of the 8th century, raids are recorded for the first time in Frankish Empire, modern-day France, and in the British Isles and Ireland. Improvements in ships and sailing technology went hand in hand with these new expeditions. Viking fleets sailed down the Iberian Peninsula and into the Mediterranean. Along the journey, they attacked both European and North African destinations, while some Norse settlers encountered resistance from local people. Others made alliances or married into local communities, losing their distinct foreign identity. In the process, major Norse settlements soon grew into important trading centres, from Cork to Kiev. Oh, it does go down through Kiev. It's weird to think that. Alright, where did I go? These centres transformed the lives and economies of those in the surrounding areas. Some would become the foundation of major cities and ports such as Dublin, for example, which became the capital of Ireland. Meet the Vikings. So, who were the Vikings? How did they live? And what did their world look like? This exhibition uses new archaeological evidence Vikings didn't actually have horns. That image in the background is very accurate to, not having horns. Alright. Number of different themes. We already read that kind of thing. Domestic life, family, and community. The rituals that surrounded death, the significance of craft, the power, mythology, and the symbolism of the Viking ship. By investigating these themes, it is hoped that existing stereotypes can be removed, and that the Vikings will appear to audiences today in a more subtle and fascinating light than ever before. Okay. Exotic goods and cultural influences. Sorry, I have to hold it in a strange angle. Viking activity stretched from the Orient in the east to Greenland and North America in the west, from the islands far to the north in the Atlantic to the distant Mediterranean and North Africa in the south. During this time, exotic and luxury goods flowed back to Scandinavia homelands and were made available to those who could afford them, as trading posts such as Burka and Hedeby and Kalpang and others. Along with the material goods came a flood of new political ideas and religious beliefs. Some objects bear witness to contact with the many communities during the Viking Age. Examples featured here and on page 12 to 13 include a Frankish beaker, a Irish cross, a Buddha figurine from India, a Coptic ladle from Egypt, a necklace made from oriental beads of carnelian and rock crystal, intermingled with native beads and shells from the Red Sea and Indian Ocean. that were used in the manufacturing of pendants. Meetings between the Northerner men and other people led to changes in Scandinavian societies over time. Many external influences contributed to objects, belief systems, and ideology taking on other shapes and forms of expression. And it shows the bronze Buddha figure that actually doesn't look too bad. For being made out of bronze, I tell you, lasting that long. 6th century. Oh, it's been 1400 years, I tell you, and that thing still looks good. I tell you, craftsmanship, was quite good. And then it shows you a map of where a lot of the stuff came from. Like where the beads came from would be modern day Yemen, where the ladle comes from, Egypt. Number 4, the beads came from, the Red Sea. That would be, around Turkey. The glass came from, the French beaker came from, France. The Irish cross, obviously came from Ireland. It just really shows you all of it. It's quite nice. Okay, I was wondering what the 6th one was. It was actually the ladle. But it was at a weird angle. A complex culture. With wide variation, a single Viking Age culture shared by every individual across Scandinavia never actually existed. Viking studies, originating in the 19th century, used elements of language, art, mythology, and gods to prevent a uniform Viking Age culture, but closer examination reveals wide regional variations. This variation is sometimes expressed through, amongst other things, jewelry, designs, fashion, and burial practices. Place names bearing the name of a god or goddess, so-called theoporic. Place names, the popularity of individual gods, and the practice of religion also reflect. Sorry, my voice started breaking now. Significant regional differences. Early written sources refer to form saror, von saror, an Old Norse term for ancient religious practices relating to all aspects of life and death. My throat is really, starting to go without. And that shows you a picture of the Altuna stone, Altuna stone, Upland, Sweden. Right stone at Gosforth, England. Thor's fishing expedition, as depicted on the Altuna Roan stone from Upland opposite, shows regional variations when compared with the stone panel at Gosforth, England. Right. Very cool, very cool. Okay, now showing some other artifacts. You got something from Iceland, something from northern Germany. Well, actually, these are just forehammers. I'm actually realizing that, like variations of Thor's hammer. You got more of a cross forehammer, or maybe that's just a Celtic cross. Might actually be a hammer with gold underneath, and then an actual proper hammer with some runes on it, and something else. Mythical animals and birds of prey. Evidence from common forms of art and shared mythology during the Viking Age. Right, just moving my mouse just in case my monitor goes off. Forms of art and shared mythology during the Viking Age can be found across Scandinavia, but again, There are many regional variations. Mythical animals were widely used in the decoration of brooches, pendants, and other jewellery. The griffin beast style, see Object 4. Okay, that's pretty cool. You just can't really see it, but you can look it up for yourself. Don't worry. You're not missing out, too much if you don't. If you do look, don't. If you don't actually look it up, then you're probably missing out. With interwoven figures in tight patterns also appears on many objects. See page 46 to 47. Another flavoured design in the head of a bird of prey. See Object 3. So it's a bird. It's a forehammer with bird of prey on the bottom. That's interesting. Okay. So now we can skip on to the next page. Okay, now it's just going through different designs, like beads and all that. Let's see. I'll try and go through this as fast as possible. Regional differences. Let's see. Scandinavia had much in common. The people across Scandinavia had much in common, often expressed through language, art, and mythology. Archaeological evidence reveals many regional differences. Women's fashions and jewellery collections share some broad similarities across the different regions of Scandinavia, but there are still some distinct regional variation. Well, you don't want to have the same stuff, the other guys selling. In the 9th and 10th century, women of high status often wore gilded brooches and colourful beaded embroidery. The traditional look consisted of 2 brooches pinned to the fabric that held up the dress. 1 or more strings of beads were hung between the brooches, the opening of the blouse, or the shawl. Across the shoulders was held together below the neckline by a third brooch. However, while women in Scandinavia typically used a pair of oval brooches to hold up their dress, A1, and a rectangular equal-armed brooch, A2, as their third brooch, the women on the island of Gotland in present-day Sweden had their own distinctive regional style. They preferred a pair of triangular brooches, B1, in the shape of an animal's head in combination with a box-shaped brooch. Quite interesting. The structure of society. Land, family, and farming were at the heart of Viking society. Owning land was very important and determined your social position, your history, and your future. The extended family was the basic community on the farm. A person, first and foremost, belonged to a family group with responsibility for that family and actions. The Viking age is often presented as a very hierarchical period, where a person's position in society was limited to the class into which they were born. The overview of Viking age society is to great extent taken from Riksstula, a epic poem found in the older literature work Poetic Edda. Registula describes how the god Heimdall, called Rig in the poem, visited 3 different families, all couples, while journeying through the world of humankind. Each couple represented a different social class, and together they represented society as a whole. The couples played host to Heimdall/Rig over 3 consecutive nights. 9 months later, the women gave birth to the 2 sons. The babies were given the names Thrall, Carl, and Jarl, representing thralls, the unfree or flaves, the free and the aristocracy, crassy, respectively. You know what? I'm having trouble reading this. I tell you, I do apologise. All right, respectively, as Hemdil/Rig was father to them all. So he basically singed all of their wives. That was terrible. Was father to them all. The social structure of society and its character and characteristics were given divine legitimacy. Rextol's view of society is stereotypical. Reality was so clear-cut. Viking society was hierarchical, but in many ways social positions were not as rigid as we might imagine. Opportunities for the individual advancement as well as loss of status were always possible. Now I've got like a ton more to read, I tell you, but I think it's best to just leave it here at page 23 and recommend that you go check out the book Vikings with exclamation mark by Gunnar Andersson. I don't want to read it fully because, you know, it will take a long time and that throat's going, I do apologise. But it shall give you some, you know, insight on Vikings altogether. So, let me put this in the bag. Do apologise. You hear me put it in the bag. Okay. So, hopefully you enjoyed this. Have a nice day, safe, have a subtle. We have some more issues. Need the vitamins, very, very important. And bye-bye. See you next time. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.